Welcome back to the deep dive. We spend our time wading through research, notes, news, all sorts of things, really. The goal is always to pull out the core insights for you. And lately, we've been deep into documents about, well, digital ownership and the future of the internet's plumbing, you could say. Today, we're using a specific event as our lens, Domain Days Dubai 2025. Now, you might be thinking, a regional conference? Why? But here's the thing. Our sources are pretty clear. This two-day event, October 22nd and 23rd, it isn't just another meeting. It seems to be a key moment, a flashpoint where global leaders are actually charting the internet's next moves. Our mission today, to show you what exactly they seem to be planning.
Yeah, and the sources, they really hammer hit the importance of the location and the timing right away. They're calling Domain Days the most significant domain and digital asset event in the whole Middle East and Africa region, the MEA region.
That's a strong claim.
It is. And honestly, if you look at the digital growth happening there, it kind of tracks. Dubai is called the heart of the Middle East's digital growth, a major growing tech hub. So it makes sense as a venue.
Okay, that sets the scene geographically. But let's cut to the chase. If someone tunes out after the next minute, what are the, say, three biggest takeaways from this deep dive? What signals about the future are coming from this event?
Right. If we boil it all down, I think three things really stand out. First, there's this undeniable push, maybe even a necessary one, towards interoperability, getting the old internet systems and the new decentralized Web3 stuff to work together.
Okay, interoperability. Got it.
Second, AI. It's not just a handy tool anymore. It's fundamentally shaking up the market, especially, and this is key, in how assets are valued.
Asset valuation, right. And third?
Third, the whole event feels like, well, like smart policy choreography. It's deliberately timed to influence global internet governance talks happening right after.
Yeah, okay. That's a great roadmap. Let's unpack that first point, interoperability, by looking at the event itself. The scale, the intent. You mentioned it's not a huge, sprawling show.
No, not at all. It's very focused. We're talking maybe 250 professionals, something like 160 companies, over 50 international speakers. It's about concentration.
So why that targeted approach? Who are these 250 people?
Well, they're the decision makers. You've got serious investors, registrars, the people actually building Web3 platforms, entrepreneurs. These are the folks signing the big checks, defining the technical standards. The sources suggest it's curated, purposefully putting global players face-to-face with the regional innovators who really get the MEA market.
But there's also a bigger claim being made here, isn't there, about the region itself? It's more than just hosting.
Absolutely. The documents state it pretty clearly. For the Middle East and Africa, this event is more than a conference, it's a statement.
A statement? What's a statement?
The statement is essentially, the future of digital ownership is global, and we're central to it. It's a conscious move, it seems, shifting from just using digital tech and policy to actively shaping it. That's actually a pretty significant geopolitical step in the tech world.
Okay, so that's the mission, the positioning.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears to the actual content. What are they discussing over those 2 days? I assume the basics are covered: domain selling, trading.
Oh yeah, the essentials are there: domain monetization, auctions, trading, that's all on the agenda. But they're also digging deep into the infrastructure side.
Infrastructure
Like the bedrock stuff, software as a service, cloud innovation, security.
Yeah.
The less glamorous but absolutely vital components that make everything else run.
Right, the foundations. But you mentioned earlier the real buzz seems to be around Web3 and AI coming together. Let's get into that. Web3 identity is listed as a core topic. What does that practically mean for, say, our listeners?
Okay, yeah. Web3 identity. It's a fundamental shift in power, really. We're used to logging in everywhere with, like, our Google or Facebook account, right? Centralized platforms hold the keys. Web3 identity moves towards what's often called self-sovereign identity. Basically, you hold the keys to your digital identity. You control your data. You decide who gets access. It flips the power dynamic away from big tech and back to the user. And that idea is central to how digital property, including domains, might work in the future.
That sounds like a huge deal for privacy and security. Now, AI, you said it's not just mentioned, but there are specific sessions on AI-driven valuation tools that could revolutionize the market for domains and other digital assets. What are the sources saying about these tools?
This is where things get really interesting, maybe a little tense. AI isn't just analyzing data anymore. These tools are designed to value digital assets, domains, sure, but also maybe NFTs, other online properties, dynamically. They're looking at real-time market data, potential traffic, security profiles, even keyword relevance all at once to come up with a value.
Wow, okay, so if AI can value these things so accurately, What does that mean for the human element? The experienced brokers, the investors who rely on their gut feel, are they out of a job?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that tension is likely a big part of the conference discussions. The sources seem to imply it's more about an evolution than an extinction. Human insight might shift from just pricing to structuring the deal, understanding unique branding angles or legal nuances AI can't grasp yet. But yeah, for simple domain flooding, if AI prices it perfectly, instantly, those margins could definitely shrink. It forces people to be more strategic.
Right, forces adaptation. Now let's connect the tech to the market power sponsors. It's always revealing to see who puts their money behind an event like this. We see big traditional names, Cedo, GoDaddy,
Ah, the established players.
but right alongside them are Web3 pioneers like Unstoppable Domains, plus others like Nova Registry, Azerver. It's kind of an unusual mix. What does that tell us?
It tells us the future isn't waiting. It demands collaboration now. That mix, that's the real aha moment here. The sources are explicit. This diverse sponsor lineup signaled the industry is moving toward interoperability, getting the traditional DNS and the new decentralized naming systems to play nicely together.
Interoperability. Big word. Let's break it down slightly.
Right.
Remind us, what's the traditional DNS and why is bridging it to decentralized systems such a challenge?
Okay, so DNS, the domain name system, is basically the internet's phone book. It turns website names we remember, like google.com, into the numerical IP addresses computers use. It's the established hierarchical system the whole internet is built on.
Got it. The phone book.
Decentralized systems, the kind used in Web3 for things like crypto wallets or certain websites, they use different protocols, different address books, you might say. The challenge and the goal now is to make it seamless for a user. So you can just type something into your normal browser and access either a traditional site or a decentralized identity or service without needing special software or even knowing the difference. That seamlessness requires these different systems to talk to each other.
And the sponsor list suggests both sides are serious about figuring that out.
Exactly. They're putting resources behind solving that problem.
Okay, so we have the tech, the market forces. Now let's layer on the policy angle you mentioned, the timing. This event is just days before the big ICANN annual meeting in Oman. Why is that timing so important?
Yeah, this seems like a very calculated move. Like you said, policy choreography. ICANN, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, is essentially the global body that governs the Internet's naming and numbering system. They set the rules.
So ending domain days right before ICANN starts gives attendees an advantage.
That's what the sources suggest. They use the phrase, an edge. Imagine. The key players hash out agreements or solidify positions on things like AI valuation and Web3 interoperability in Dubai. And then just days later, they carry those fresh, unified messages straight into the ICANN meeting with global policymakers. They arrive prepared, maybe even with a consensus already formed, ready to influence the official discussions.
Okay. So it potentially shapes the agenda before the formal policy meeting even begins?
It certainly seems designed to give them a head start, to frame the debate. It kind of shortcuts the often slow process of global policy development.
Interesting. Okay, beyond the high-stakes tech and policy, the sources also mention the atmosphere. They use the phrase business meets fun. How is the event actually set up to foster deals and collaboration?
Well, it sounds like it's designed for what you might call structured networking. Maybe enforced intimacy is a better term. It's not a conference where people commute in and out. Everyone's staying at the same place, the Marriott Resort Palm Jumeirah, a pretty high-end venue. So those crucial conversations happen naturally over breakfast and coffee breaks at the planned VIP events in the evening.
So fewer formal meetings, more bumping into the right person at the breakfast buffet.
Kind of, yeah. The sources literally say this setup is where partnerships are born and future collaborations start. You can schedule endless Zoom calls, but there's still value in that face-to-face connection, that handshake over dinner.
Especially for investors, I imagine.
Definitely. For investors, it's gold. You have the whole ecosystem right there. Brokers, registries, hosting companies, the Web3 innovators, all concentrated. That density makes real deal flow happen faster. You're not just hearing a pitch, you're potentially building a strategic partnership with the people funding or building the next big thing.
Okay, let's circle back and try to tie this all together. We started by asking why focus on this one regional event, Domain Days Dubai? And it seems the answer is that it's acting as a crucial global marker. It's signaling, first, this major push to integrate the traditional internet, DNS, with decentralized Web3 systems that interoperability piece.
Right, essential integration.
And second, the massive impact AI is starting to have, specifically on valuing these increasingly complex digital assets.
And alongside that, we've seen how the MEA region is deliberately positioning itself as a key player, using the event's timing right before ICANN to help shape the global conversation.
The location, the timing, the tech focus, it all seems very intentional.
Extremely intentional. The technology is cutting edge, the policy implications are significant, and the financial stakes are clearly enormous.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. If the technology is moving this fast, demanding seamless interoperability, deploying AI for valuation, how quickly can the world of policy and governance represented by those ICANN talks actually keep up?
Yeah, that's the critical question. Will innovation fundamentally outpace regulation?
Does that create a sort of unregulated frontier for digital assets, at least for a while? A zone of maybe risk, but also huge opportunity.
That gap, the space between what technology makes possible and what regulation currently allows or understands, that's precisely where the big shifts, the big challenges, and maybe the big fortunes in the digital domain space are likely to emerge.
Something to definitely keep an eye on. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.